Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RVing in New England. It's going to be a great show. We got a couple of good friends on tonight. I think you're going to really enjoy them. John, what's exciting in your week?
We have so much going on in the RV world in an off season, but there's so much excitement about new models coming out, and now the new ones are being shipped. You see them on the highway, all covered with slush and snow and whatever, but everybody seems to be talking about RVing 12 months of the year now, where it used to be, now you're kind of slowing down, you're getting ready for the live show season, which who knows when it's going to happen this year. But everybody's excited. And now is the time when people start making their plans for next year. And you know what, Bob? We've been saying this for the last few months. You better hurry. Don't wait until February and March to make your summer vacation plans, because everything's going on. And you know what? We're excited. And it's going to be a great show tonight because we've got some old friends with a new gig.
New idea. Oh, that's a good way to put it. Old friends with a new idea.
And when we say old friends, we mean old friends.
Let's bring them up and see what they have to say. Pull that down, pull that down. Let's bring Mr. Doherty up. Let's bring Mr. Livingston up. Where'd they go? Why is that time? There we go. There we go. That's better. Where are you, Chris? Yeah, there we go. Wow. Good.
There he is.
You guys take a long time to come up.
Well, they're old.
Well, look at how long.
Yeah, I think I'm the youngest one here, though.
Huh?
But I like the emphasis on old.
Brag about
Keep on rubbing it in.
Look at how long it took Livingston to come up. Well, that
I know. Well, old. You said it old. You made it very clear.
It's California. What the hell can you say?
Last week we had a bi-country show.
Yeah.
2 countries. And now we have a bi-coastal show.
True.
And hopefully after seeing our story, people will buy their magazine.
That's right. And you know what? There's only one person on the screen right now that is not going to see snow tonight.
Yep. Oh, that must be me.
And I'll bet that probably doesn't bother you at all, does it, Bob?
We're really having a cold spell right now. It's like 68 degrees, and we're sitting there complaining because it's a little bit too cool. But listen, man, it's nothing compared to what you guys are getting.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at our list. I'm looking at our list of who's here. Jerry's at the Cape saying no snow. And Bob, this is funny because everybody who's checking in is giving us their weather report. Walter Swanson is in Florida. Okay. We thought earlier, by the way, Walter, you must be slipping or you're working too hard, because earlier today I posted, actually at 4 o'clock Eastern time, I posted, hey, anybody here, tell us if you've got snow yet. And I was expecting Walter to say, well, it's not snowing in Florida. But he was kind enough to show us his house in Millbury, which has got one of those ring cameras on it. He can tell when it's snowing.
Well, look at Glenn.
North Carolina, New York, New Hampshire.
They must like the write-up tonight. So we got Jerry Plant on Cape Cod. Walter's on vacation in Florida. He's usually up here. Well, no, wait.
Yeah.
No, you wait.
He's not on vacation.
No, you wait a minute. Right?
He's working.
No, you wait. He is Bedford RV. Mark Pope, RV Education 101. Dwayne Cyrus, the Winnebago Training Manager. Good evening, Dwayne. Estelle Drew, one of our big fans up in New Hampshire, Newmarket, New Hampshire. Any snow up there yet, Estelle? You're the only one that didn't give us a weather forecast. Eric Teller is in Salt Springs, Collin National Forest, Florida. Wow, some Florida people.
I'd say it's not snowing there either.
Dante's here from Windham, Maine. Hey, Dante, did you see the lot clearing over at Lee's Family Trailer? They just cleared 6 more acres for new RVs. 6 acres. That's the addition. All right?
That's a lot of trees.
Jim Mack, greetings from Goshen, Indiana. Hello, Jim. Haven't seen you for a while. Haven't talked to you for a while, but congratulations on joining these two in this adventure, which we'll get to in a minute. Eric says 65 in Florida. Don Polk. Mr. Z, I have never seen you wear a coat. This isn't a coat. This is like a nylon windbreaker, Don. This,
not nylon.
Coats. I won't even wear a coat tomorrow when there's 18 inches of snow on the ground. All right,
Okay,
Chris.
Bob, we gotta get two things straightened out right now. Number one, Walter Swenson is not on vacation. He's working from Florida. Okay,
that's correct. I'm sorry.
And number two, let's have a rule that from now until the end of the show, if you're from Florida, we don't want to hear the temperature.
Or California.
Right. Yeah. Oh, Michigan. Okay. Hey, wait a minute. Kessler.
Hey,
Kessler is only 6 minutes late.
Kessler, do you feel bad? He says, "Oh, and Michigan." He doesn't say who you are. And Bob and Chris, I want you to understand, Kessler usually gets in around the halfway mark on the show. He only comes in at the beginning of the show when we have real important people on. So you should feel honored.
We're really honored.
Andy
but he's also coming on
absolutely. See, Andy Potter, Gadget Girl. See, Andy follows instructions. You notice? No temperature.
Bob. Bob.
Jim Homeboy.
Hold on.
Oh,
he spoke too soon.
70 degrees. He killed it. Andy,
Andy, you're done. You're out.
I take back those accolades. All right. We have Chris Doherty. We have Bob Livingston. And I'm sure everybody knows their name. What was that? That sounds like a television show, doesn't it? So
Chris and Bob. It's the Chris and Bob morning show here on WH.
One of us has had a TV show.
Chris and Bob.
A long time ago.
All right. So which of you two want to give the lead in as to what you're up to?
Bob, you're the publisher. Why don't you do it?
Well, as you may have heard or may not have heard, we are introducing a brand new hands-on digital magazine for RV enthusiasts. That's why it's called RV Enthusiast. We've got a very exciting platform, which is going to make it very easy to navigate, very easy to read. It's going to have a lot of good features in it, so you'll have fun not only reading about things that are going to be worthwhile, keep your rig in good shape, and make sure that your travels are going to be, really good and trouble-free. But it's also going to be fun to navigate because today's world, we got so much going on here. As a matter of fact, for old people like myself, we have to deal with the young people who teach us how to put these platforms together, and we're real excited about it. We've went through a lot of effort to make sure that it's not going to be a difficult platform to get through, and I think we've succeeded in getting there. And hey, it's just I think it's going to be a product that's going to be really needed now because there's not a whole lot out there. Most of the publishing today in the RV space is pretty much lifestyle. It's great. I mean, people love lifestyle. So do I. I read it all the time. But there are a number of people out there, a lot of people out there, who need to know how RVs work and why they work and how to work on them. And, if you take a lot of that mystery out of it, your trips are going to be a whole lot better. And you won't be stuck getting things serviced all the time. A lot of stuff's not complicated. Even though they're complex machines, there's a lot that you can do. And we're going to help everybody out with that. And, and Chris has got a lot of experience in working on these things also. And we're going to put this stuff in a format that's going to be easy to read, easy to understand, and be fun to get through.
And that's about all the time we have for you tonight, folks.
Thank you very much. All right, that was too much, right? Okay, too long. I don't even have it scripted. See, it's just talking off the top of my head.
That's fine. Chris, go ahead. Tell them what role you're going to play in this.
So I'm the technical director, and so I'm kind of reprising my role, just helping to organize the tech and so forth. And we've really lined up a great team with us. I'm kind of handling a lot of the back behind the scenes stuff right now, getting the web, we're working with the vendor to get the website and the new format set up for the magazine. And we've got, some other things. There's a lot of electronic and software stuff that's got to go on in the background. So we're spending a lot of time with that right now. But as far as our team is concerned, our editor, Bruce Hampson, which I think many of you know from formerly from RV Business. And he was also from Motorhome Magazine back in the day. So he's part of our team. Chris Heemer, who was my predecessor at Motorhome and Trailer Life as the tech editor. He's joining us. And Chris has a long time experience, long time history in automotive journalism. and really fantastic stuff. And so we're delighted to be partnered up with Chris. And then we have Sue Seidlitz and Jim Mack, who have joined our team to handle advertising and marketing and social media. So we've got a great team here. We've got a lot of friends in the industry who've been around it a long time. And so our goal is to bring the best information that we can and a professional level of technical information, and work with other partners in the industry to get that out there. And we think that's really important.
Well, I think it's very, very interesting that you can have, as Bob Livingston said, it's kind of groundbreaking because you're going to have the first hands-on digital product ever created in the world.
Well, right. It's an interesting program. So the company that we're dealing with, Vertical, is the product. It's by Admont Media and outside of Palm Springs, and they've developed a process by where you can take a magazine layout and it actually converts it over into a format that can be easily digested on any device. So it's not like a flip book where you got to zoom in and look at to see things and all that. It will actually adjust itself to the screen, so it's very easy to read but still interactive.
Right. Seriously though, just for a minute, it's really, the timing couldn't be better for you to come out with this, because there are more new RVers than ever before in the history of RVing that are entering the fold between last year, next year, and was it Rick Kessler said that maybe this is a 10-year run, Bob? Did Kessler say that? But you know what? These people are a different breed. They're not necessarily the retired mechanics that used to buy the big 40-foot diesel pushers after they retired. These are young people that are looking for adventure, and they may not have the technical expertise to deal with not necessarily just the vehicle itself, meaning the Ford or the Dodge or the Chevy or whatever, but all of the electronics. Will you be getting into any of the electronic parts of running an RV, a motorhome, travel trailer, fifth wheel?
Absolutely. And I'm kind of a gadget freak. I got everything I do is electronic. I mean, I don't turn on anything or do anything without pushing buttons. And and I think that there's a lot going on as far as in technology, and I think there are easy ways to explain how these things work, so you don't get all jumbled up trying to make them, function the way they're supposed to function. And I think that's a key element, because if you know how to work it, if you know how to do it, you'll be successful. And for the most part, this stuff works pretty well. I mean, there's some failure rates, but it's not that much, not that great of a failure rate. It's just a matter of knowing what to do, and that's where we're going to come in. We're going to be very heavily electronic. With electronic products and some ideas. We have a lot of tips and a lot of things that we've all done ourselves to make life on the road easier through electronics, and we're going to bring that to the readers.
We got a couple of questions here, a couple of comments. And Jerry Plant says, and Jerry is a master certified tech. He's been out there for a long time. He's with Major's Service Center down in Cape Cod. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. And this is one of his favorite lines, but it's so true. He says, I'm constantly amazed at how little a typical RVer knows about their rigs, followed up by Andy Parr saying, could part of the problem being that few RV dealers provide a level of training other than doing a basic walkthrough? So kind of put those two together. And what do you think, Chris, on that?
Well, absolutely. And the walkthrough has historically been an issue. That's how Mark and Dawn got started with RV Education 101, is to give people that walkthrough that they can refer back to. And it's more, walkthrough is very rig specific, right? So you have lots of different styles and floor plans of RVs from different manufacturers, and there's just all this stuff that's out there. And so being able to know the details about your own rig, and it's important stuff. And so having a good walkthrough, I think that's essential. I think there are a lot of dealers who are trying to improve that for sure. We're going to come in is try to go a few levels deeper also. So when you talk about electronic systems, we're going to explain to you what the system is all about, or the same thing with your plumbing and your water system. We're going to talk to you about maintenance. We've had, conversations with people. Maintenance is a huge deal. They want to know all the ins and outs of maintaining their rig, how to do little repairs, things like that. We're going to go through that stuff. Mm-hmm. You talk about technology, there's a lot of it in RVs today. Multiplexing systems are all over the place. There's a number of different kinds, even down in little travel trailers.
Explain the importance of that in a brief way, but that's a major change and a major shift with, we still have some manufacturers that aren't doing it, but explain the importance of that.
Of what?
So multiplexing.
Okay, yeah. Explain what you mean by it. Sure.
So multiplexing systems are basically where you have electric circuits in the RV that are run by an electronic device, a computer or whatnot, and a set of relays. And what that does is it allows you to have a switching system throughout the RV that's programmed, and you can also use it to operate devices from your smart device. And today's systems are also have a feature, a lot of them called Global Connect or something along those lines, which allows it to be connected to the internet. So in theory, you can check on your RV and whatnot from anywhere you can have an internet connection, basically anywhere in the world. And as of last year, in the new this year's Chevrolet model, the 2020, they have integration with ASA electronics in command system on the radio head in the truck. So you can actually check your tanks and cameras and things like that right through the radio head in the truck. So this technology is really growing by leaps and bounds. There's a lot of stuff being made for people to buy and add to their systems. There's a lot of things happening.
Hey, Bob, Bob L. Earlier, you had just said when we were that last question that you're kind of a gadget freak or a geek, whatever. As long as you're not a gadget guru, because that title is already taken by one of our guests tonight. Okay. And let's go back to the walkthrough, because keep in mind when the walkthrough takes place. It takes place after you've determined whether you want a motorized or whether you want a towable. Then you want to get a Class A, a Class B, or Class C. Then you want a fifth wheel, a toy hauler, a travel trailer, whatever. So you've made all these things. And then you got to figure out what dealership you want. And then you got to figure out the pricing, et cetera, et cetera. So you've gone through all that stuff. You sat through the closing and with the add-ons and buy the gift certificates, et cetera. And now you want the unit, and there's 2 hours that stand between you and the open road. And let's face it, when you, even Bob, the fifth wheel that you're in right now, for a first-time RV buyer, there are so many systems to learn that there's no way that anybody can grasp it all during a walkthrough. I kind of refer to the walkthrough as confusion 101. If you think you were confused when you went through the buying process, the user process is even more confusing. So if you can find a niche that people will be able, similar to the Pokes, be able to use your magazine as a reference, then you probably have a very strong niche within the industry, because as Andy said, and everybody said, there's really not a lot of it from the dealership and the manufacturing level.
Yeah. So, you got some good points there. So it's all a matter of retention. There's no way 2 hours you're going to learn everything about an RV. It's not going to happen. You're going to learn the basics, and you can get on the road and probably get yourself in trouble. And there's some products out there that can help people with information that's in a walkthrough, that as they go along. But the nice thing about what we're looking at it in a digital format is that everything is savable. And so all the information that we're going to be providing to our readers will be able to be used as a reference. And so if you get out on the road, and you find out that something you don't remember, how do you do this? How do you make this thing work? The chances are you're going to find it in our magazine. And so we're going to be the number one resource for learning about RVs and systems, and even things like, we'll look into campgrounds, and we're going to look into other things. I mean, just how to, there's more to how to than just turning a wrench. How do you you make reservations, and how do you keep good information? How do you keep memories and stuff like that? So there's a lot of stuff to talk about here. And so, yeah, so we're going to go way beyond what a walkthrough will do. And hopefully if we put it in language and as far as visuals, we're going to have a lot of visuals, and we'll get into videos and everything else. And so we're going to have a good, format
that fits right into that. Walter says, need to have a learning studio that has short videos on each piece of the rig, water heater, furnace, leveling systems, etc., and issues. That's critical. And you don't just you're not doing this just so that the industry has another magazine. You're doing this to fill a void that the industry has kind of abandoned, right?
Yeah, what we want to do, we want to enhance the experience. Okay, so and by enhancing the experience, then the word gets out that people are having a good time, and when the word gets out that people are having a good time, then other people want to get into it. So we keep the if you will, an old term, top of mind on this thing. We keep it alive. We keep the interest in it. We keep the excitement in it, because as long as people are having a good time and it's pretty much trouble free, there'll be more people getting into it. So that's our focus here, is to make everybody's experience the best it could be.
We've introduced you as former editors and publishers and that sort of thing, but your experience goes much greater than that. Chris, you've done everything from being a mobile tech to a service manager. Tell us your background and why you're qualified to write on the topics that you will be writing about.
So I started, as both an RVer and in the industry, which is
rare.
Important to point out. So
and rare.
And where. So my family got their first motorhome, a 1973 Winnebago Chieftain. Got it new, and because we grew up in a horse farm and did a lot of travel that way. So I kind of grew up with it, and as soon as I was old enough, I actually had my own RV. A firefighter friend of mine and I rebuilt a Coleman pop-up and restored it. And that kind of, set the hook a little bit more. And I haven't been without an RV since, frankly. But I got into the industry back in 1998. I decided to go full time for a while, sold a house, went full time, and at a beautiful park in Rhinebeck, New York, that also sold RVs. So I started in service there part time, and one thing led to another, and had my own mobile service. And when I retired from the fire service, I went full time into the industry. I am a certified RV technician, and I've taken that very seriously over the years. And because I wanted to learn how to do it, being an RVer, I always heard the stories. I heard about people's difficulties with their rigs and not having great resources and having good technicians to come work on stuff. And so I focused on my training, and I was fortunate that I was able to do that. I had a great mentor in service, our old friend Gary Bunzer, and who also mentored me in the teaching side and the media side. And so that's a lot of the reason I'm here today.
Before we jump to Bob's background, Jerry Plant has a funny story. He says he had a customer with a remote switching system. He butt dialed his water pump on, and he flooded his motorhome.
Yeah,
so that's why training becomes important. Andy Parr wants to know if you have images of the new magazine,
mock-ups,
posts so that we can see what it looks like.
We will have those shortly. We have an art director in Portland, Oregon, and she's working on that right now.
We have a logo, Bob. You can show them the logo.
We have the logo, and we have some samples that are in process. Nothing we want to put out there just yet. We want to have something really, really smart when we have it. So,
do you have any? Give us a hint on any of the topics you're going to be covering in your premiere issue.
You want to go for that, Chris?
Sure. So absolutely.
I can do that. Okay. Well, we're going to deal with working on exterior maintenance, things like roof maintenance. We're going to deal with some information about cold weather camping, since we're in the cold weather time of the year, and how to make it work and how to stay out of trouble. And we're going to do some installs from accessories and appliances. We're going to talk about some favorite products that people really need to have. And we're going to, we have some news that's going to be, that will be introducing, and a number of other things. And eventually we'll have a question and answer column, a tech column, and that will come after we get some letters. I mean, we can make up the letters, but rather than do that, we're just going to put the word out that.
No, you're not implying that any magazines have ever printed letters to the editors that were written by the editor.
That can't be possible. No, that can't be
Never.
possible. Can't imagine that would ever happen.
Never happened.
So, yeah, we've got a pretty well-rounded first issue, and second issue, and third issue, and our editorial package is building as we speak. We're going to be it's a how-to centric magazine, but we also want to expand on that a little bit, because there's other facets of the industry that we want to bring to light to the magazine. But everything is going to have the word how-to in front of it. You're going to have to learn something. We're not just going to, show pretty pictures, and that's okay. I mean, it's okay to show travel pieces and stuff like that. People have to have that information, but that's not our focus. Our focus is to teach and teach and have so people can have an understanding. Now, look, not everybody's going to turn a wrench. It's not going to happen. But if you know what to do, and you can talk to your dealer and make some sense out of it, you've got a much better shot of it. And that's the other part of it. And so it's all about knowledge, resource to have at the tips of your fingers, and to have knowledge. And that's what we're going to be about.
And I think a lot of the new people coming into the fold are DIY people, especially those that are not necessarily going to the campgrounds, but are going to the mountain and doing the kayaking and doing the mountain climbing and
right.
The adventure stuff. These are people because you kind of almost have to, because you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like you can call your nearest dealer, which is 120 miles away, right?
Hey, can I come back to something Bob said? Bob, you said letters to the editor. We're in the digital age now. So you're going to go out there with a digital magazine. People are going to see things. What have you built in? Or if you haven't, that's fine yet. But they're going to, this generation wants instant answers. So letters to the editor were fine, 20, 30 years ago. You write a letter, and 4 months
later,
you might get for it.
Sure, I remember that.
So how are you going to respond on the consumer side? Somebody reads an article and says, I got a question. What do you do?
We have a very good website that we're building right now. And there'll be opportunities in that, through that website. So we're going to stay much more timely. Look, no one knows more about the time in the frame than I do. Well, there are people who have been publishers like myself, but it's like, we start you have the Christmas issue. You're taking Christmas pictures in the beginning of August because you're printing, and it takes time. So if someone sends you a letter, a lot of times by the time the answer is given and the person reads the answer, they've already been through whatever they needed to do. So the idea of the website, and working in concert with our magazine, on the monthly magazine, gives us that leg up on keeping the information current and contemporary.
That's great.
And understand our magazine, it goes to vertical 2 weeks before it a week to 2 weeks before it's emailed out. Right. So people are getting it very, very quickly.
But
from the time that we're done.
That's the great part about this idea. John, I'll give you 2 seconds here. I just want to recognize Jim Mack says social media website, obviously, because that's Jim's specialty. Jericho says, good evening, guys. Hi, Ed. Glad to see you. Is it snowing in Lexington yet? Frank Kate says, can you address the pro-con? We got 2 technical questions already.
Or Pros
Can
and
you
cons.
address the pro-con on the AC soft start electronic mechanism? That's one question. So one of you figure out who's going to take that. The other one, Jerry says that he's getting tons of questions at the store about the Life PO4 batteries.
Lithium iron phosphate. Yep.
So one take
Which
one.
one do you want, Chris?
Well, I just did a project not too long ago on lithium iron phosphate. So what was the getting tons of questions at the store might be a good topic. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We're going to spend some time with that. There are a lot of systems, and I just did an article for RV Business about adventure trailers that's coming out soon. And a lot of these new units, these smaller trailers that you can take off-road and whatnot, they're set up with solar, they're set up with inverters, and in some cases set up for lithium, where they'll have a converter that's set up to charge it, or the inverter charger, whatever the system is. So lithium iron phosphate is coming at us really hard, and it has been for a few years now. And we're going to definitely spend some time with that, spend some time with solar, talk to people about the systems, what you can do with it, and spend some time off the grid.
Okay, Bob, you get the soft start, but I'm going to ask you to hold it for a minute because it's time for John.
Oh.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you so much for joining us live on tonight's show. And what we also want to tell you that we need your help. We need you to go down the bottom of your screen somewhere, whether you're watching it on a phone, whether it's a tablet or a laptop, and there's a share button somewhere on your screen. Hit that share button. Send it to somebody you know that is either into RVing or considering RVing. And once they see the show, they will know a little bit. They'll actually, after tonight, they'll know a lot more about RVing. So the other thing is this: if you're watching this on replay on YouTube, hit the subscribe button down the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Subscribe, and then a little bell will pop up. Hit the bell, and then every time we do a new show, you don't have to go looking for it. It will be sent direct to you. It'll be like delivering the old newspaper right to your doorstep. So you don't have to go out in the snow and look for the newspaper. It comes right to you. So we thank you so much for allowing us to grow both on Facebook and on YouTube. And
John,
now back to our regularly scheduled program.
I just realized something. On the screen right now, we have two of the most technology capable people in the industry.
And two of the most untechnologically capable people in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, you decide.
To talk about us like that, Bob.
That too. All right,
I know, really.
soft start electronic mechanism. It is getting a lot of press.
It is.
So what do you think?
Well, you know what? With people who want to run their air conditioners on, a smaller generator, the soft start gives them that opportunity. And so, for example, I installed, to go back to the lithium batteries, I installed the system that's in our fifth wheel probably close to 5 years ago, and it's lithium based and with solar, and it's a fantastic system. And I tell you what, I would never change it. I would never go back to anything else. So we get out, we can do everything but run our air conditioner. And the fact is, I don't want a big generator with me, but I can carry a 2,000 watt generator, a little Honda, and with the soft start, I can operate that air conditioner without a problem, and that makes a big difference. So now, one air conditioner, you're not going to be able to run two with a 2,000, but toting around a 2,000 watt generator is not a big deal. And the fact that you get out in the desert place and you want to get some cooling, it makes a big difference. If I can just kind of do a little bit of a sidestep here, it's the whole idea of camping off the grid is building a ton of momentum. It's amazing how many people are talking about it now, and especially when you talk about the Class Bs that are out there that are so popular, and they have the maneuverability to get out there, plus the smaller trailers that are out there, and smaller even small Class C motorhomes. It's crazy how popular it is.
Yeah.
And we were on a trip this summer, and we went on over a road that was absolutely not for RVs. and we didn't take our fifth wheel because we knew better. But there were Class Bs everywhere, and a lot of those adventure style Class Bs. So people want to be off the grid more than I've seen in a long time. And we started this whole thing, 50 years ago. I hate to admit that, 50 years ago, because we wanted to go camp off the grid in an RV, and I was tired of being on the ground, and I wanted the conveniences of an RV. And then it kind of like faded away. There wasn't as much going on, and now all of a sudden, whew, man, it's back big time. So products like the Soft Start make a lot of sense. I don't know, Chris. I don't know if there's a con to it. Do you know the con? I see.
No, not really. I mean, I haven't heard of a lot of failure rates or anything like that. I know that there are systems like that being installed at the OE level. So there's both from the standpoint of toy haulers and even some of the adventure trailers. Some of the manufacturers I've spoken to during the last month for this other project, they're actually saying, yeah, we're putting in an air conditioner that's set up so it can run off of the inverter and the lithium system. Obviously, you're not going to get a huge amount of time. And their thing is, look, you can get, if it's super hot out, you can kind of take some of the heat off at night, put it on for a little while, and then you'll be comfortable enough to go to sleep, that kind of thing. Obviously, power out, you got to have power in. And so, there's pros and cons to that side of it and using batteries for it. But as far as the generators are concerned, I've not heard one at all. So,
yeah. Chris, let me ask you something. You threw a term out that any of the new people coming into the industry are probably not familiar with, but you said OE, which obviously is the original equipment manufacturer, the guys that build these things. And, years ago there was, and I'd be curious your comment, and I may be off base here, but years ago, the manufacturers didn't want to put anything else into the coach that a customer didn't specifically ask for, or the dealers were pressing them for. They wanted to keep that cost down, and it was always, let them go to the aftermarket, let them go to the parts accessory store. But we saw a trend, I think, starting with the solar power panels. And all of a sudden, a lot of the coaches are coming through pre-wired for a Go Power or a ZAM. And now all of a sudden you're saying you're going to see some of this stuff going with the Go Smart. So have the manufacturers changed? You guys talk to the manufacturers all the time, but are you having that kind of a discussion with manufacturers that consumers may be seeing a lot more of these coaches coming through with the anticipation? Yes, it's an expensive purchase or an add-on, but I'd like to see your comments on that.
Yeah, so the people that I talked to this month, there's a number of them, and it goes back, this year has been very interesting for the RV space because there are a lot of people coming in as new RVers, new consumers who have never considered RVing before. Again, it's that because of COVID, I can't go to my bed and breakfast, or I can't go to my rental house in Aspen or whatever the deal is. So I need another way to do it. And there were a few people that I spoke to that were, that termed the word COVID campers. And those are the people that just come in, they plunk down the cash, and they want an RV they can go out with. And so a lot of these adventure campers are actually coming fully equipped from the manufacturer. So there's almost nothing the dealer needs to add to it when it gets there, or when the people are going to take delivery of it. It has the solar, it has the batteries, it has everything in it that you're going to need. It's a one-stop shop, as it were, to go out there. And it's that level of convenience. But I remember those days when you'd buy an RV and then they talk to you about putting an awning on it, putting a microwave in it, putting the air conditioner on. And no more. That a lot of that stuff is just absolutely standard.
Yeah.
Bob Zagami mentioned earlier, he said two of the most highly rated technical people in the industry there, and that's true. And we started to talk about backgrounds, and Chris, you gave your background, and we were asking Bob to give his, but we went to the questions. Bob, I want you to go into that, but I can vividly recall when I was like in 8th or 9th grade, and I would come home from school in the afternoon and I would turn on the TV, and there you were in a show called Going RV. I mean, you go way back to when I was a kid. Talk about your experience in the industry. A guy from Brooklyn who has become an RV expert?
It is kind of weird, huh? Well, it's okay. So 50 years ago, I hate to admit this, 50 years ago, I got married, and a month later, we bought this van, and then I converted it to what today we would call a van conversion, or in those days a van conversion. Today, obviously just Class B. Had no idea what I was doing, but I learned just by making mistakes, and I was able to use my hands, but so I built that, and then I had this conversation one day with Art Rouse, who was the publisher of Trail Life and Motorhome, and in the Good Sam Club, and I said, "Hey, I'm a journalist, and so maybe I should go to work for you," and I started it, and that's when it started, and so 50 years I've been dealing with RVs, and so how do you get to be comfortable around RVs? You got to take them out. We take a lot of them out. I took a lot of them out. Hundreds of RVs, and things went wrong. Things didn't work the way they were supposed to work, and you have to learn how to make them work. You have to learn how they're supposed to work, and it became a passion. And the passion is get out there, see. And I love to work off self-containment. That was a big thing for me, is to make the systems work. So when you need to rely on the systems, you have to learn how they work.
Yeah.
And so one thing led to another, and through my work with the magazines and started becoming I started off as an assistant, associate, whatever it was, assistant editor, whatever, something like that, editorial assistant. That was it, and then ended up becoming the tech person, and and it became a passion, and the passion is. I like to fix things, and I like to install things, and it's so much fun. And here's the thing: you have to consider when you have an RV, they're complex vehicles. Now, a friend of mine put this in perfect language, and he's got a motorhome, and he was, we've been high school buddies, so we're been known each other for over 50 years, and he says, when something goes wrong with my motorhome, it's just a detour in my trip. And as long as you have that attitude, you'll always love the lifestyle, because the lifestyle is compelling. There's no doubt about it. And if you know something about it, if you can learn something, then it even makes it, I should say, more fun and less stressful. And that's it. So over the years, you just build your ability to learn, and you log it into your mind and take notes, and you make mistakes, a lot of mistakes. And you struggle through it, and that's how you learn. And it's become so much fun.
Yeah. And it's important to point out that you're in one right now. You live in one right now.
My wife and I have been living in it for 4 years now. So I look at it this way, all I've been doing for 50 years, well, it wasn't 50 years, it was 40 some years, is preaching the RV lifestyle. Well, I got to practice what I preach, and so we did it. So we sold everything out, put a few things in storage, and never looked back. And it's really a lot of fun.
Hey, I got a question for you, Bob. When you did that camper van over, was that so that you and Lynn could drive it to Woodstock?
Okay.
All right. So look at
that was the next year.
Did that camper van, along those same lines, did that camper van ever have smoke coming out of it and not from the tailpipe?
Fuzzy dice.
Trying to think about how am I going to answer that one?
You're a 70-year-old guy with a ponytail, so I figured that must have been part of your background.
Well, you know what? I was a hippie in those days. I don't know. I guess so. A hippie turned into an RV enthusiast. It was. We had a lot of fun with that, actually. I'll never forget the first night we spent in that thing, because it actually got almost built, and it was like, God, this is the greatest experience. It was just so much fun to be out there and off the ground.
It's funny what you say, because just earlier this week, I interviewed a couple that bought a shell of a van, an old van, empty, and did it all over and saw the whole country with it. And believe it or not, he's from Brooklyn. And
that's pretty amazing. So the two of us.
45 years later, and it's still going on. And there are a lot of people out there that want to travel, but don't feel as though they want to buy a motorhome that's already, or a travel trailer that's done. They want to buy the van. They want to buy an old FedEx truck that already has 300,000 miles on it and rip it apart and put solar on it and cut the metal out and put some windows in, right? Right, Chris? I mean, you see it all the time now. So
all the time. Yep.
More reason for these people to subscribe. I'm pointing. This is so crazy. I'm pointing to you at the screen. More important than ever that your product is out there to allow these people to do what they want to do. And now with COVID and the fact that people don't have to go to a jail cell, an office every day, they can work from anywhere. So the fact that you're not just going to talk about the manifold and the brakes and the exhaust system, but how do you set up a home office from the road? How can you live from the road? How can you add more solar that may have already been there? I think you got a home run.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah. No, that's definitely what we're doing.
I don't want to confuse people with the image that I have on the screen, but when I was doing my research today, I came across this, and then Jerry Plant sent a note and said, I have that book in my coach. So I'm not sure, Jerry, if you're referring to Art Rouse's book that most of us in the industry have read 10 times over and certainly grew up on his magazines. This one I found interesting because I'm not sure that I remember it in the 25 years I've been covering the industry. Tell us a little bit about this, and was this kind of the formulation that you're now bringing to the marketplace, but in a new digital format?
I just want to say one thing, Bob, before you answer that. The very first textbook I had as I bought it as an RVer and as a technician was that book right there. And that is the one thing you could get. And that started me off as a technician before I got certified and could start taking the industry classes. That's how I started my business right there.
Was Jerry on paper or on stone?
It was Bob's book. Yep.
On paper or stone?
Right. We printed it on rocks. Thank you. You guys are really kind. That book goes back into the 80s, and it was a project that I did through the Trailer Life book division. Of course, working there. That was
the 1980s.
1980s, yeah, 1980s. And it was a very popular book. I think we did 3 editions of it. It's obviously out of print. I could tell you a funny story about it. I don't know if we get in trouble because I don't have many of these. I have a couple stacked away.
Trouble for anything.
So a few years back, before I retired, I guess that's about 4 years back, I got a letter from a guy who said that he found my book because I was out of print already by then. He found my book on eBay for $900, and I wrote him back and says, "You know what? I don't want you paying $900 for this book," and I sent it to him. I had a couple extra copies and sent him one because that's crazy. So, but anyway, it was a lot of fun having that book around. There's still people that use it, but
Jerry Plant, he's got it in his Safari. Sure, there you go.
I have 2.
Anyway, it goes way back.
Jerry, send it to us. We'll send it to Bob. We'll have him autograph it. Send it back.
So I think I have a couple of them. We actually hardbound it at one time to make it look like a library book, and I think I have 1 or 2 of those in storage. But I don't have a whole lot of stuff around me anymore because I live in 400 square feet, so storage is at a premium. So put away.
Walter's post.
Can we take a step? Yeah, I want to take a step back here because you may have hit on something, and I'm not sure how you plan on working this whole van life and van conversions that are outside of a stock product. Walter says schoolies are very big, which they are, people converting old school buses.
Correct.
But how is that going to be part of the magazine in some way, shape, or form?
I think Chris can give us an answer on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we talk about systems in the RV, again, we're not going to sit there and say, okay, so I don't want to drill down and say, well, in this school bus or this van, this is how you're going to install this thing. But we'll show you about systems and things like that. We're going to tell you the right way to put them in. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFPA code for the 1192 code for RVs. We're going to talk about proper electrical wiring and things like that. So there'll be some good tips in there too, so people know if they want to add something to their RV or whatever, they can do it effectively and safely. We'll talk about systems that you can put in a vehicle. I'll be working pretty closely with my friend Tim Christensen up here from Tim's RVs in Irving.
Great nerd to remember.
And he does these kinds of conversions. We used to build, when I used to go up and do some work with him as a side when I had my mobile service business, and we would build out these Rockport trucks, and he'd order them with a side door and a staircase and make a motorhome out of the front of it. And those guys up there, they have at least 2 this year that are full build outs, and they get asked for them. Somebody will drop off an airport bus, and there's a modified school bus up there that people start it, and then they kind of scratch their head and say, okay, I'm over my head. And so they'll do tanks and they'll, whatever whatever people want. And so there's a lot of really neat information up there that we'll be able to cover.
Now, Chris and Bob, you're going to, as you get closer to publication time, you're going to be going on a lot of shows like this, or shows that say they're like this, but nobody's like this, because we have the world's best audience, because we have Walter Swenson. Walter, while you were talking, Walter is the Massachusetts guy was a Good Sam president of Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. He's down in Florida.
Working in Florida. He's not on vacation.
He's working from Florida.
Right. Already got
one of those guys that works for EMC or Dell, one of the two.
Dell.
Yeah, I think Dell, right? No more EMC.
Right.
And has set up his whole office in Florida. But while we were talking here, Walter went on the line right now and says you can get that book for $39 on eBay. And he's selling your books for you on our show.
Walter's selling the books, right? Yeah.
That's not going to happen anywhere else, ladies and gentlemen.
Walter's our resident engineer and on the spot. So we happen to mention something, Walter's on the computer, and he just puts that stuff right out there.
And you know what? I just found it. I would love to share it with you. I don't know how to do that, but on eBay is Trailer Life's RV Repair and Maintenance Manual hardback book by Bob Livingston for $45.99.
$45. Wow.
Hey, those are rare, you guys.
And it's signed. It's signed in gold on the cover.
It does have a gold signature on it, believe it or not.
All the pictures are in black and white because color photography hadn't been invented yet.
Yeah, I know. Well, remember, guys, I started when we were doing linotype. What can I say?
Yeah.
I started when we were doing letter set on a piece of paper. Final
Chris, you and I are the young guys.
You go back
letters on a piece of paper, an entire newsletter doing rub-on letters on paper. Does this copy have the one where with the harness you put on the horses out in front of the kind of
right. We show you. Yeah, that's the one that shows you how to do the bearings in a covered wagon on a wood wheel.
Bob, get to Ed Turco's comment down there.
Ed Turco says, based on what you produce as magazines, are they also in digital format? Well, the prior Trailer Life and Motorhome and stuff like that are. Some of those are, but Ed, are you referring to the stuff they've done in the past, or are you referring to RV Enthusiast, which is a digital publication? Right, guys?
Yeah, it is.
It's only digital.
And Bob Livingston so capably said in the opening moments, this is a hands-on digital publication.
Yeah, it's digital. Right. Just look at it this way, especially for people like myself who live in an RV. It's hard to store back issues of a printed magazine. It's easy to store digital magazines because you can put a ton of them on a little flash drive or thumb drive, and man, you've got a wealth of information just sitting there that takes up.
Jerry Plant can be dull sometimes,
but he's good on this one.
Sometimes he's brilliant. So Bob Family would have a news story and run into the newspapers and yell, "Stop!" You're close, Jerry. You're close.
Okay.
Man, that's all right.
Okay.
So Ed is talking about RV Enthusiast. So here you go, Ed. We'll give you the put that URL back up there again.
Yeah.
Geez, it's too bad the software doesn't make that adjustable because I could block John out completely if I just move that up on
There you go. Oh yeah. Oh, perfect.
Now I feel, hey, I'm liking that True Detective magazine where they used to put the block over your eye. You know, the kind you'd see at the
right.
The bookshop.
Every time they arrested you and
now they blur it. Back then they just put that black line.
Have you seen this, man?
That's so funny.
Yeah. So guys, I told this show would go quickly. We got about 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left.
Always does.
It's been fun, but there must be some things that we left out that you want to say to RV enthusiasts who are going to become magazine subscribers. So I want to dedicate the last 3 or 4 minutes to you guys to fill them in on something that we may have left out or forgot to answer.
You want to go first, Chris?
Just that, we're coming out with the first issue on February 1st, and we're getting all the pieces in for that, which is going to be great. We're going to be ramping up a lot of stuff. So it's not everything on the website and whatever will be there right off the bat, but we're working really hard to get everything up there. We're looking forward to this. We have a lot of great partnerships already in the RV industry. Our team has been out working with our friends, and it's taking off. We're amazed at how everybody has come to us and said, "Hey, we want to be part of this." We're very grateful for it, and we're looking forward to putting out a fantastic product, and that everybody will benefit from. So it's going to be a lot of fun for us for sure, and I think for the readers too.
Well, you're right, and I'll give you the last word there, Bob. But everybody that I've talked to is delighted that for all the many years and the hard work that you guys have put into developing your own careers and putting out information to consumers, and you've earned the reputation that they got. And I haven't met one person who doesn't think that you have an absolute home run. And I'll turn it back to you, Bob.
But Bob, if you want to bring your people on when we're talking, you can do that now because Bob's got one of his dogs here. Chris, if you want to get your cat and dog or cats,
my dog only barked once. Thank you for the kind words. I got to tell you, I got to pinch myself. I do pinch myself all the time because I got to spend my entire career around RVers. And there are no finer people in the world, in my opinion. It is no better lifestyle, in my opinion. And I'm lucky because, again, because we get the winter in Palm Springs, we have 1,200 RVs in this park that I stay in Palm Springs. And so all we do is hang out with RVers, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And so the idea to be able to bring information to my friends out there, and everyone out there, as far as I'm concerned, is a friend, because if they're an RVer, they're a friend. The whole idea to be able to put out a magazine that's going to be helpful and is going to keep the buzz alive for the ownership of RVs and the experience and the fun. Hey man, it's a whole lot better than spending all this time hanging around the pool in retirement. I'm going to have a lot more fun doing this.
With all those old guys and women down the pool, that's no fun with those old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I will tell you this. We joke all the time about the old thing, but there is no lifestyle, in my opinion, that keeps you young as out there as an RVer. It's, you get to explore, you get to wander, you get to be around phenomenal people all the time. And it's, to me, there's no greater life than the RV lifestyle.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well said, Doug. Well said. John, did you have a closing comment?
No, I just thought we had a great show. And, we were joking about age and stuff like that. But what Bob said is so true. RV people are fun people. They come from all walks of life. But when they're in their RV, they're not a bank president. They're not a janitor. They're not a plumber. Right. They're not a, internet wizard. They're just an RVer. And RVers benefit from others' stories. And, I'm proud and happy, actually overjoyed to be part of that community.
I am too. And Jerry Plant says, good luck, Bob and Chris. Looking forward to your first edition. Riney says, great show tonight. Riney, does that mean that the other shows were not great? God, everyone he says, everyone in the line of inclement weather be safe. Rick Kessler says, great show, gentlemen. Well, Rick, thank you very much. And thank you for showing up on time this week.
Guys, this is the time that Kessler usually shows up.
Great.
Oh, at the end, huh?
Yep.
Great show. Stay safe during the snowstorm. Can't wait to see the first edition. Ed Latrico says, great, great, great. And Ryan said, only so-so. Only so-so for the others. Bob.
No, Estelle meant she wanted to see the Kenny Rogers in the first edition. That's what she meant.
Yeah. Well,
see, she said, can't wait to see the first edition.
it's coming.
And Kenny Rogers. In
Kenny
Oh, the
Rogers.
first edition, yeah.
You picked
Okay,
the fine time to leave us, Lucia.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. Been a pleasure. Thanks, guys, for having us on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Travel safe, and we'll see you down the road.
All right.
Got it. All right. Take care.